Welcome, everyone, to this explainer for FUSS 318 History of Science and Technology. Your guide through humanity's greatest, most mind-bending breakthroughs is the lecturer in charge, Raji A. Fes. And hey, if you have any questions at all as we navigate all this, you can always reach out directly at raji.afes@fuo.edu.ng. We are about to trace the grand architectural design of human progress. We're talking everything from the very first moments our ancient ancestors looked up at the stars, all the way to the artificial intelligence algorithms that are literally shaping our world today. So let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into our syllabus roadmap. We've got a really exciting 5-part journey ahead of us. We'll start with the dawn of science, move through the classical to Renaissance periods, hit the industrial revolutions, explore the biodigital frontier, and finally wrap up with a course synthesis. It's essentially the story of how we learned to stand on the shoulders of giants.
Section 1. The Dawn of Science. Foundations in Babylon and Egypt.
To put a human face to this very early era, meet Imhotep. He lived around 2650 BCE, and he is just a monumental figure. An Egyptian polymath, an architect, and remarkably, he is actually the very first named scientist in recorded human history. He perfectly embodies how organized society absolutely demanded early engineering and medicine. Building massive structures like the pyramids and keeping a huge workforce healthy. That required systematic knowledge, not just guesswork. Science was born out of pure, practical necessity along the river valleys of the Tigris, Euphrates, and the Nile, where people desperately needed to do things like predict floods and navigate by the stars just to survive.
Now, what's really interesting about this is seeing the distinct technological priorities of these two great civilizations, which were heavily shaped by their local environments. In Babylon or Mesopotamia, they used clay to create cuneiform tablets. They developed a base 60 mathematical system and early planetary tracking. Meanwhile, over in Egypt, the invention of papyrus provided this amazing, lightweight, portable writing surface that completely democratized knowledge. It was a real game changer. They focused on fractions, solar calendars tied to the Nile's flooding, and of course the awe-inspiring engineering of the pyramids.
When we lay out these ancient milestones chronologically, the cumulative nature of early innovation becomes super obvious. Notice how around 3500 BCE, the invention of the wheel in Mesopotamia served as this incredible foundational technology. And it wasn't just for moving cards around. It paved the exact way for the mechanical principles that would, thousands of years later, underpin the Industrial Revolution itself. Step by step, from writing systems to mathematical papyri, humanity was layering its knowledge. Section 2. Classical to Renaissance, the spread and synthesis of ideas.
As practical knowledge spread across global trade routes, it started to morph into rational theoretical inquiry. People stopped merely asking how to do things and started asking why the natural world worked the way it did. Now, Western science often dominates the narrative here, but a much wider, much richer reality exists. While Greece gave birth to the scientific method and rational philosophy, and Rome was mastering applied engineering with things like aqueducts and concrete, massive leaps were happening in the East. India gave us the zero and the decimal system. Think about that. Without those, modern computing is literally impossible. Meanwhile, China contributed the 4 great inventions: paper, printing, gunpowder, and the compass, which permanently altered world history.
And this brings us to a quote from Isaac Newton that perfectly captures the core narrative arc of this entire explainer. "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." He wasn't just being humble there, he was stating a cold, hard historical fact. The scientific progress of the Renaissance wasn't created in a vacuum. It was entirely cumulative, collaborative, and deeply indebted to the Greek, Indian, Islamic, and Chinese scholars who came before.
Let's trace this explosion of knowledge. In just over 2 centuries, we jump from the Gutenberg press to Newton's Principia. Right in the middle of all that, in 1543, we have the Copernican revolution. Copernicus proposed that the Earth actually moves around the sun. This was a radical heliocentric model that quite literally shifted the center of the universe away from Earth and challenged inherited institutional authority with hard empirical evidence.
To truly wrap our heads around the impact of the Gutenberg press, let's draw a direct line between it and the internet. Before 1440, knowledge was trapped in incredibly expensive, hand-copied manuscripts. The printing press dropped the cost of copying information and sped up its spread across Europe, which directly enabled the scientific revolution. Fast forward to 1991, and the internet did the exact same thing, just on a global, instantaneous scale. Both of these technologies fundamentally democratized information and totally disrupted the old monopolies on knowledge.
Section 3. The Industrial Revolutions. 4 Waves of Global Transformation.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because this democratization of knowledge set the stage for an astonishing acceleration of human productive capacity across 4 distinct waves. For the very first time in history, human output broke free from the biological limits of human and animal muscle. The first industrial revolution was powered by coal and steam. The second brought us mass production fueled by electricity and steel. The third introduced the digital era, with transistors and the internet shifting our focus to information. And today, we are in the 4th industrial revolution, distinguished by a massive shift in how technologies interact. We're talking about the blurring of physical, digital, and biological boundaries through AI and genetic engineering. Each wave reshaped our energy sources, and consequently, our entire society.
It is absolutely crucial to examine Africa's specific historical position within this industrial landscape. We see a really complex journey spanning 4 major steps. Beginning with ancient preeminence in places like Egypt, the continent then suffered severe, deliberate colonial deindustrialization, where economies were reduced purely to raw material extraction. Post-independence brought its own structural struggles. But look at step 4. The current 4th industrial revolution presents a massive opportunity for mobile-first leapfrogging. With growing tech hubs in cities like Lagos, Nairobi, and Accra, they are completely bypassing older, slower infrastructure. It's incredibly exciting to watch.
But we have to acknowledge that progress always comes at a price. The first industrial revolution improved material conditions for millions, sure, but it also created terrible new forms of exploitation, like child labor and severe urban poverty. This is what economists call creative destruction. So I want you to ask yourself, is this pattern of exploitation and societal disruption repeated in every single technological revolution? It's something we really need to think about.
Section 4. The Bio-Digital Frontier. Modern Biology and Artificial Intelligence.
We have officially moved from manipulating steam and steel to manipulating the very codes of intelligence and life itself. We've got Alan Turing laying the mathematical foundations for AI back in the 1930s. We have the discovery of DNA's double helix in 1953. And by the way, we absolutely must acknowledge Rosalind Franklin's uncredited yet critical contribution to that discovery alongside Watson and Crick. This led directly to the mapping of the human genome, and now CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing, which allows us to act as molecular scissors. We are shifting from generalized treatments to highly personalized medicine based on your specific genetic code. It is mind-blowing stuff.
Yet, with immense power comes severe ethical dilemmas. Every major scientific advance raises profound moral questions that science alone simply can't answer. Consider the highly controversial 2018 case where CRISPR was actually used to create the world's first gene-edited babies. How do we, as a global society, govern heritable modifications in human embryos? Or what about the deployment of AI in mass surveillance? These aren't just science questions. These are the defining challenges of our current era.
Section 5. Course Synthesis. The 5 recurring themes.
So the crucial point is understanding these 5 recurring pillars to tie all of these incredible historical threads together. Number 1, science is cumulative. It constantly builds on itself across generations. Number 2, it is socially embedded, always shaped by the power structures of its time. Number 3, it carries heavy ethical dimensions. Number 4, there is a mutual shaping where technology influences society, but societal needs totally dictate what technology gets funded and developed in the first place. And number 5, Africa's dynamic, changing position from foundational origin to marginalized victim to a rising, powerful participant in global innovation.
To prove just how deeply interconnected this all is, let's follow the legacy. It's like a giant puzzle. Around 3000 BCE, the Babylonians developed the base 60 mathematical system. This flows directly into Greek geometry, which is then preserved and expanded into algebra during the Islamic Golden Age. That specific math is essential for Newton to develop his calculus and laws of gravity in 1687. And guess what? Those very physics equations, combined with that ancient Babylonian base 60 math, are exactly what allow the GPS satellites to synchronize with the clock app on your modern smartphone today. It is one unbroken chain of human curiosity.
As we wrap up this explainer, remember to utilize these synthesized themes for your own academic success. Mastering these concepts will be absolutely key for your continuous assessments, your quizzes and response papers, and of course, your final exams. Lecturer Raji A.T. has meticulously designed this rich historical tapestry not just so you can memorize random dates, but so you actually understand the grand trajectory of human innovation.
I want to leave you with a final, provocative thought to carry with you.
We started this journey looking at the very first named scientist, Imhotep, and we've traveled all the way to modern biodigital engineers. If Isaac Newton stood on the shoulders of those ancient giants to see the mechanics of the universe, whose shoulders are today's artificial intelligence and CRISPR scientists standing on right now? And perhaps more importantly, what incredible or maybe terrifying things will they see next? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep asking questions and keep exploring.